Yes, we are all set on our end, so let's get it started.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Space Invaders was a mesmerizing game. I remember being spellbound as I watched talented players who were so much better than myself play with the stress of the game, with the sounds that happened faster and faster. It's great to be able to ask questions of the great Tomohiro Nishikado. Thank you, Nishikado-san, for speaking to me. And my first question for you is, what was the period of time when you worked on Space Invaders?
I believe it took 1.5 years, including the period that I had to create the tool for the development.
1年半ぐらいですね。
And do you recall when you first got the idea for the game?
そうですね。
Yeah, perhaps the beginning will date back to early 1977 when the game called Breakout was released by Atari and became a big hit in Japan. I was inspired by this game and the idea was how we can one-up this title. At the moment, I believe I still didn't have the idea to make it a space-themed game.
そういうことまでは全然考えてはいなかったんですけどね。
Nice. It does seem similar to the way Breakout plays, paddle that goes back and forth.
Yeah, the game has similar features.
And is there any actual lore behind the Space Invaders game in terms of narrative? Is there a backstory?
実はね、
At the beginning, the game was not quite themed upon space. But then later, we came up with making it incorporating aliens, and the player defends the Earth from them. And that was the beginning of the narrative.
That's a very simple story.
そうシンプルでわかりやすいですね。はい。
This is obviously a lot of work for one person to do. Where did your technical and creative passion come from?
そうですね。
As a child and throughout my life, I've been always passionate about creating things and handcrafting. When I was a child, my father used to do work something like creating and fixing tools for carpenters. So my house was filled with these equipment tools for his job. Even as a child, I made a lot of things, including a pinball machine. When later I became a junior high school student, I got more interested in electrics as well. And I made radios and amplifiers. And I pursued this passion throughout to the university and I majored in related subjects. So I've been always passionate about it.
まあ情熱がありましたね。はい。
I know looking inside arcade machines, there's a lot of chips and wiring. How much a part of your job was technical and understanding the electronics hardware?
ビデオゲームの
Yes, in the early days, technical element in the gaming development was pretty heavy. That's very true. But I believe as soon as you keen on the idea, it's really important to make sure that game is exciting, and that I would say 80% important in the whole game development process. So when it comes to technicality, as soon as you have a clear concept and you are sure that excitement there, you should have enough technology behind
困
it.
難なところはありませんでした。
And this was not your first game. What had you done in games before Space Invaders?
はい。
Okay, that's
だいぶ
going to
古い
be
話
an
なんです
old episode. When I first joined the company, there was no such thing as video game in the industry. So I started with games with mechanical aspects. Then video game came into Japan. So I studied and analyzed it a lot myself. And I created the first game, Soccer. And then the next one was Tiered Ace. I also created the shooting game Western Gone. I believe there were total around 10 games that I made before Space
10種ぐらい
Invaders.
作りました。
And what did you learn before that helped you design Space Invaders and make it such a good game?
スペースインベーダーの
So
前は
before
ですね、
Space Invader came out, games are pretty much relying on hardware and IC chips. But then for Space Invaders, I created where you do the programming to run the game. And for that, I believe assembling language that I studied back in the university was pretty helpful. That helped me a lot. And all the other games I created before Space Invaders were part of the things that helped me this game become so good and long-lasting game. So I would say Space Invader was standing upon all these experience and knowledge that I earned beforehand.
集大成じゃないかなと思ってます。
Nice. So you inspired Shigeru Miyamoto to make games. How gratifying is it to hear that from people in the game industry who came after you?
Yes, Shigeru Miyamoto is such an important person in Japan, and I believe he is a recipient of cultural merit that was issued by the government. And when I hear such an inspiring person was inspired by my game, Space Invader, I feel very honored. And not just him, I sometimes hear that other creative people in this industry are also inspired by Space Invaders. Whenever I hear that, I feel very happy.
Yeah, very nice. How do you feel about the enduring popularity of Space Invaders? Did you ever think it would last this long?
If I was expecting this game to last this long, no, I was not expecting. And I thought, I wonder why it's enduring game and why so loved by a lot of people. And the first reason for that is probably because the game is very simple and it's open to wide audience. The second is actually a product of limitation of technology. Because of the limited capacity at the moment, the character came out very simple, but then people found it very kawaii, a Japanese term for cute. So that's another factor for this game as well. When I went overseas, I saw a child actually playing the Space Invader game, and I asked her how she learned how to play this game, and she told me that she learned it from her parents, and I was very touched by the fact that the game was passed through generation from generation.
How big do you think gaming will become?
So how it's going to become, I would say that's an unknown future at this moment. But I believe the technology is going to grow more and more. And games with a platform that has a very high quality CG, that is going to, the popularity of that kind of game is going to last for a while, I believe. But then that will hit the wall at some point. And I'm expecting to see a game that is going to change the game of this industry, and I'm excited to see that.
Well, I think games are going to conquer the world, just like Space Invaders.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to interview you.
Thank you. ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.